Hey guys, this is Charles with Charlotte Area Historical Games, and tonight I got a chance to play C3i Magazine's edition of Gettysburg. There is a box edition that you can get, but if you get the C3i Magazine, you get a lot of components, a lot of articles. There's also a second game in there. I think it's Napoleonic's The Battle of Issy, 1815. But I really enjoyed Gettysburg, and it was kind of surprising because it kind of looked like an old school war game with the SPI type mechanics, but it was interesting in the fact that units just didn't move once. You could keep moving units until you felt like you were in a good position for combat. And you're always trying to get like a 3-to-1, like surrounding somebody mechanic on here. So there are 6 turns to the game. We started at 7 o'clock, had never played before, read through the rules, and got through turn 4, I guess, in about 2.5 hours. So I think that the game would take, if you knew what you were doing, about 3 hours to play. It's pretty straightforward. There's a movement phase, and then on turn 1, there's only a few units that come onto the board. And so during the movement phase, you can move a unit 4 for this number here, 4 for this number here, 6 for a cavalry, 4, and this is the general who basically gives a drop-off point for reinforcements as they come back into the board, or blown units as it's called. So very easy to play. The Confederate player usually starts first, and as you come within 1 of somebody, you are flipped over to battle ready. So instead of being a marching unit, you're battle ready. And then since he moved close to my guy, I'm reduced down to 1 point. And we can keep moving. We're doing this back and forth action. I move, he moves, I move, as long as we haven't gotten to this zone of control. This is called a zone of influence, and that's when we go to battle ready positions. And we can still move 1, but it does not stop the end of the turn until 1 or both player passes. If 1 player passes before the other, you roll a die, and then you get that many. There's a little calculation involved, but that's how many movement points you get for the rest of the turn. While the other player is passed and sitting. So once you get past the movement phase, and let's say we're in this type of combat here, we basically have an artillery phase. So here's your artillery support, and you decide if you want to use artillery support or not by putting these markers face down, right? So if the Union player wants to use one of his artillery support, it would reduce that by 1, and he flips down, and he covers this. The Confederate player says that they don't want to use any support. So the artillery would go down 1 in his support, and he would get a +2 for them not contesting it. If they both do a dice roll-off, the winner gets a +2 in their combat to support the unit that's on the board. So without getting too much into the details here, you can get advantages for defending in the brown areas, which are like defensive cover. You can get an advantage for having 3 units on 1, which gives you a +1 in battle. You can do the artillery support, which depends on a roll, and how much you know adds a +2 to the winner. Essentially, there's other things involved too, but again, the nice thing about this is that the movement is much faster than I thought it would be. So we first started the game, this guy can move 6, so he's Howard here, and he gets a half road movement for being on the road. So it's 1, 2, free, 3, 4, free, 5, 6. So you'd think that that would be like turn 1. No, you keep going because he's not locked by anybody. So this guy can react, and then you can react, and you can do all these things. And at the end of the first turn, you're already in battle with the enemy and stuff. So this guy will move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He moves up to here, and this guy is locked. Let's say they're like this. If he decides to back up, right, these guys can keep moving forward. So he can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And he can say he just passes, right? So then there's a calculation of how many moves are left. So you roll a die, and without stopping to look it up, let's say the other player gets 4 moves. So he gets 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's come within this area here, so he has to flip because he's battle ready now, right? So he's got 1 move left, and so that roll kept us from keeping moving and like really wailing on this guy. So we have a combat here. These other guys can't participate, and basically the Confederate player would decide if he wanted to attack first, or if he passed, then I would attack as the Union player, and that's kind of the mechanics. So you can see as the turn goes on, more and more units enter the board. But the thing I liked about it was that things moved around the board much faster than I expected, and that you had a lot of maneuverability by the units not ending because they've already moved that turn. You just keep moving. And what you're trying to do is trap your enemy or pin him by using your units to come within 1, and then all he can do is move 1 at that point. And that does that. And then if you come up to his zone of control, that stops his movement, and now you can move in and do like this 3-to-1 advantage I was talking about, where you get a +1 in your die. It's a really fun game. It was really simple, and it really had a good flavor of the period. Usually the SBI mechanics are kind of boring to me a little bit. You know, you got the numbers, and I know a lot of people like those, but this one was a very interesting mechanic that I hadn't seen before. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you get a chance to play the game. I don't think there's anything that I missed. You can have stalemates. People are stuck in stalemates. And then when you attack somebody, if you beat them by a certain number, 1 to 2 is a retreat, 3 to 4 is blown, which means you come in 2 turns later, and then 5 or more is eliminated from the game. So if you get a chance to play this, a lot of fun, and have a great night, and I will talk to you soon.